What's up, real MVPs? Ricky Widmer here, and welcome in to another episode of MVP Games Live for November 9th. I am joined, as I always am, with my beautiful co-host, Soapy Muffin.
Hey,
Soapy,
just so you guys know, pre-show stuff. Apparently, according to horoscopes out there, I'm a part of a cult now.
Yeah,
who knows?
Soapy loves you love to sacrifice, Soapy. Sacrificing is your thing, according to your Virgo compatibility.
Man, let me tell you, I just love sacrificing. That's what I love.
And also, we learned that horoscopes can be a goddamn lie, because apparently we looked at yours, the Virgo. We looked at mine, and apparently it was an 89%. Like, damn, you guys are fucking perfect. That didn't end out well. So Soapy and I are a little skeptical when it comes to these horoscopes. But we ain't talking horoscopes today, Soapy. We got gaming news to talk about. We got a ton of shit to talk about today. I was going to say, good for you, because like when I say beautiful co-host Soapy Muffin, I told you what happened on the sports side with that, right? In the comment section? Soapy's not there. Soapy can't hear me. Soapy will be back. Basically, Soapy, did you hear what I asked you?
Oh, there we go.
There we go. Soapy, my question was, did you hear what on the sports side? Did I tell you what happened with the My Beautiful Co-host stuff?
No.
Apparently, people are on the sports side throwing some shade at Dave. There's a comment like My Ugly Co-host Dave. So Soapy here on the game side, not getting any of that hate over here. We're gonna have to
mostly because they haven't seen my ugly ass face yet.
I mean, they haven't seen your face, is what I'll say. I know I'm getting all the hate. We got Twitch chat fucking last Friday. Got bombarded, and I learned some things that I apparently didn't know about myself. But we got a jam-packed show today. Got some great news for you. Before we get into everything, though, make sure, if you haven't already, which I know most of you have not, go ahead and join the best community on the internet, the MVP Discord. That link on YouTube down below in the description, or exclamation Discord into Twitch gives you that link. Like I said, best community on the internet. Go ahead and join it today. If you like the show, want to support us, patreon.com/MVPvids is how you go and do that. Thank you to our Patreon sponsors, Pat, Hill, and Philly Sean. And see, JD and Twitch chat agrees. It is the best community on the internet. You can also support us by throwing us a sub on Twitch, where we are live every Monday through Friday, twitch.tv/MVPvids. But we're also on YouTube at MVP Entertainment as well. Soapy, like I said, jam-packed show today as I almost knock over my tablet in front of me. We got a jam-packed show, tons of stuff. But the first thing we're talking about, Soapy, I think you're going to be excited about. According to BioWare, they have confirmed that a new Mass Effect game is in development. Polygon has the deets. BioWare is in early development on a game in the Mass Effect franchise. Studio manager Casey Hudson confirmed in a blog post celebrating N7 Day. Hudson said that the next Mass Effect is being created by a veteran team at the studio, but offered little in the way of new details. Meanwhile, here at BioWare, a veteran team has been hard at work envisioning the next chapter of the Mass Effect universe, Hudson said. We are in early stages on the project and can't say any more just yet, but we're looking forward to sharing our vision for where we'll be going next. BioWare did release a piece of artwork that appears to be associated with the new Mass Effect, a printing of a ship possibly known as a Mud Skipper based on its file name. The most recent game in the Mass Effect franchise, 2017's Mass Effect Andromeda, was coolly received by critics and fans. BioWare has announced a remaster of the first three games in the franchise, Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which is coming to consoles and PC in spring 2021 on Saturday as well. Soapy, what are your thoughts on a new Mass Effect game being in development?
I'm worried, and it's mostly because I hated Andromeda.
Okay.
Absolutely hated
So
that
you're
game.
not excited about this. You're worried about this.
Yes. I am definitely worried, mostly because obviously it's one of those things. BioWare has kind of had a shaky history as of late, of where obviously before, oh, you bet your ass if whenever BioWare would announce anything, I'd be the first on the hype train. I'm the one who built the goddamn train. I'm in front of it putting the tracks down.
You're just nailing those tracks into the ground like, come on, guys, we're going.
Yeah. And it's the more that they kept messing up. Like obviously, I've tried to keep my faith. I'm like, don't worry, man. They're gonna fix it. It's what's the thing from The Simpsons where Homer is sitting there and it still works. It still works. It's good.
It still works.
Yeah, that was me every time BioWare kept fucking up. And obviously, like I said, I am worried about it mostly just because of the shaky history. I'm still probably gonna play it, dude. I buy shit games all the time.
Yeah.
I've just come to the conclusion that I may as well just buy a shit game when it comes out.
Well, I mean, the thing too is like, so I'm looking back, and really, BioWare, like, you're not lying. The last two games that they put out then did not get good reviews from players, because the 2017 in March, they came out with Andromeda, which you were even saying that you weren't really a fan of. And then after that, 2 years later, in February of 2019, BioWare did Anthem. Anthem did not get... it was highly anticipated, but then after it was released, there were a lot of complaints about Anthem. Now, before that, Shadow Realms, I don't really know off the top of my head if that was received poorly. And also Dragon Age Inquisition. Don't really know if that 2014 game was received poorly, but you're right. The last two of them that they would put out, Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem, not received so highly or as highly as they thought it would. And Soapy, since you have played the Mass Effect games, Mass Effect for me has always been one, I had not played it because it was one of those where most of the people I knew played it on Xbox. So I had thought, oh, it's not a PlayStation game. And I didn't really think about playing it until college, but then there was other stuff that I'm like, oh, I'm going to play this. World of Warcraft also took up my time. I want to ask you is basically, what did you hate or what didn't you like about Andromeda that made it so much different than Mass Effect 3? In case someone's coming into this, like, let's say they didn't play Andromeda, or there's someone like myself who hasn't played the Mass Effect games, have been told, hey, you should play 1, 2, and 3. What was so bad about Mass Effect Andromeda?
To me, the major thing is just the story did not feel like it fit in the Mass Effect world.
Okay.
It's also, I have the opinion that they should have stopped after 3, because that's the perfect spot to end the story.
Yeah.
Like, if it's set in the same universe, fine. Whatever. Go with it. It was more or less of like, Andromeda felt like a cash grab of where there weren't enough improvements from 3. Like, key features in the game felt worse. The game ran poorly. Like, it was a doozy to get through. Kind
of like, hey, let's put out a game that has Mass Effect on it and see how much money we can get for it.
Yeah, which I mean, they got money for it.
Yeah,
and it's just and then also with the Dragon Age Inquisition. Inquisition's a fucking great game.
Okay, so
and it's genuinely received as a good game.
All right, so they had then maybe 2 good games because, yet again, Shadow Realms, I didn't play, can't really speak for it. Before Andromeda and Anthem, that I know Anthem played the beta, didn't play the actual game after I played the first intro mission and then was like, whatever, and then kind of quit from that. And then Andromeda, like you had mentioned, a lot of Mass Effect fans have not been fans of it, to where the thing that I kind of think of, and maybe this is me thinking outside of the Mass Effect bubble because I haven't played 1, 2, or 3, is could it be like what we talk about with Star Wars, where think of the Mass Effect as like an original trilogy? Is there something else in the story of Mass Effect where it's like, hey, we're going to tell this story that's going on over here either at the same time, after the timeline? Would you want them to do like a prequel thing where they're telling a story about what's going on before the events of Mass Effect 1? Like, is there a story in the Mass Effect universe that we have not told that fans might be like, yeah, I would really love a game around this?
For me personally, no.
Okay.
And it's mostly because it's one of those things. The whole purpose of the Mass Effect games is to show the effects of the Reavers.
Yeah.
Which are basically the enemies in Mass Effect 1, 2, 3, and I think they're in 4, except the enemies in Andromeda are just fucking weird. They're like space Nazis.
Okay.
Like, most generic villain you could possibly make. But it's one of those things of, there's nothing really to tell beforehand. And, like, you could tell a story that's happening at the same time. The only thing is, you can't have it at the same gravity of Mass Effect 1 and, like, Mass Effect 1 through 3.
Because it would almost feel like a side mission. Or like a side step to what's the bigger problem.
Yeah, well, especially because it's with Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. They hammer it home that, like, listen, you're the last hope.
Good point.
Of where it's with having a story of, like, if something else is happening on the side, like, you kind of take away from the gravity of that. It's like, oh, so I wasn't the last hope. Someone else could have just taken my spot. And obviously, like, I know that could be something that's more or less of just Soapy stop being a big fucking crybaby and get over it.
I mean, no, but you're right, though, because if in 1, 2, or 3 they hammer home the fact that you're supposed to be the last hope, you wouldn't want to lessen that. And I know that for some people out there, they might look at my question and kind of think about, well, comparing it in the way I did to Star Wars is kind of unfair. To the fact of, if you look at it, Star Wars has a much more expansive universe, I would say, than Mass Effect.
By far.
Only because Mass Effect is just the games, where Star Wars, you have games, books, comics, movies, like... There's a lot more
Christmas specials,
Lego Christmas specials, to where, like, Mass Effect, this is one to where, for all the Mass Effect fans out there, I hope you get your game that you can look at and go, I like this game. I can see the worry because the last thing you got was Mass Effect Andromeda. But, like, this was something to where I'm like, oh, if you're a Mass Effect fan, you should be excited about this. This is a new game. But then I'm not looking at it through the same goggles as you are, being like Andromeda was kind of like a flaming garbage can that I don't want to necessarily want that again. And you might be sitting there thinking that if you are someone that was probably very critical of Andromeda, is there any way that you think this will be a good game, Soapy? Or is this just, hey, I'm going to be very cynical's not the word, skeptical? Is that the word I'm looking for? About this game.
Cynical would be basically like, just even if like everything I heard from it was good, I'd be like, nah, it's going to be shit. Okay. It's shit no matter what.
This is, since we don't know anything, you're kind of like, you're skeptical about it, where you're like, I don't think it's going to be good, but hey, I don't know anything about it yet.
Yeah, and that's kind of the approach I'm taking to it, of where it's kind of I want to be excited for it.
Yeah, because you love the Mass Effect. You love Mass Effect 1 through 3.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things that, for me at least, the only reason why I'm not excited is because they're going to do the same thing they did with Andromeda, and when they tell the story of like, when they have the story... It's going to be the same shit I've already done before of stop the bad guy. Oh no, bad guy's a lot stronger than we are. We have one thing that's going to stop said bad guy. It's like, you can only pull that off so many times before you get people who are like, okay, no, I don't care anymore. It's also, I don't want them to tell the story of Shepard anymore. I'm tired of getting Shepard's story.
You want someone different.
Yeah. Like, obviously, I know there's Shepard, and then there's Femme Shep, which is basically just female Shepard, depending on the option you choose. But it's one of those things of, they could find some way. It's just, it has to not involve Shepard, because I'm not gonna lie, I don't want Shepard for a 5th time. Because it's one of those things that there's only so far you can go with the meme of Shepard trying to get in everyone's pants constantly. There's only so far you can go.
And Soapy, I just pulled up the first random tweet of like, so Kotaku put out the thing that everyone does. That like, here's our article. BioWare announced it's working on Mass Effect. The comments, people that have played Mass Effect like you, they're all saying the same thing. So should I duck and hide seriously after Andromeda? You really think we're going to trust EA on another Mass Effect game? Another person posted the Peel gif of him sweating like profusely. And it says, man, I have never been so unreasonably disappointed in a game as Andromeda. I have my doubts about this. And then the very last one was, I hope the best for them and turns out to be a great game. But for someone that's not a BioWare fan, the only series that is keeping them alive is the Mass Effect franchise. They're becoming too much like Call of Duty, where that's the only thing that makes them money. So, I mean, we're going to have to wait and see what happens with this. Don't have a lot of information, except for, hey, it's a veteran team putting it together. It's going to be in the Mass Effect universe. And for Mass Effect fans, like I said, I hope it is a good game for you guys. I hope that
I just want to throw out one thing.
Go ahead.
The thing I want to throw out, that person doesn't realize that Dragon Age is definitely a million times better than Mass Effect. I'm just saying.
I mean,
that person needs to put some respect on Dragon Age.
I was going to say, you haven't gone to the Call of Duty level until you're pumping one out every November.
Yeah.
Once you start
and now you have three different teams
November,
pumping them out.
Yeah. I mean, you get three different companies rotating on it, pumping it out every November. Then you can say you're on Call of Duty's level. But, Soapy, we got two little PlayStation newsies for today. One is more of like a, hey, this is what could have been and what Sony considered, which means do they change it down the line? And according to Video Game Chronicle, there was a report that says Sony reportedly discussed pricing PS5 games higher than $70. That's according to a new Bloomberg article focused on raising next-gen software prices. Earlier this year, Take-Two's NBA 2K21 became the first next-gen console to be priced at $70. Other publishers have since followed suit, including Activision's Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, and Sony with selecting first-party titles, including Demon's Souls. A Sony spokesperson said PS5 first-party launch titles start at $50. The $70 price tag is currently reserved for the biggest titles in a strategy reflective of the growing developmental resource needed for these ambitious games. In July, Xbox head Phil Spencer wouldn't comment with how much Microsoft Xbox Series X and S titles would cost when asked by the Washington Post. However, its only new first-party launch title, Gears Tactics, is the standard $60 price tag. Gaming can be an expensive hobby, and I see certain platforms going to, in the U.S. pricing, $70 per game, Spencer told La Vanguardia this month. The consoles are $500 in U.S. pricing, and I think that's a heavy investment for people who aren't every day playing video games, kind of more casual players, or a family that's balancing many things. FIFA and Madden publisher EA claimed last week it hadn't decided whether to raise the prices of PS5 and Xbox Series X and S games in the future. Soapy, I want to ask you, what is your, because there's a part of me that is, I don't necessarily trust that PS5 games and Xbox Series S games, like these next-gen consoles, I don't trust that they're going to stay at $70. Like, I feel like at first it could be 70 and then gradually move up. Like JD said, hey, I already pay $80 or $80 card. This is something to where it's like, I could see these games being above $70. Do you see that? Or do you see this as like, hey, they looked into it, it's going to be $70, and that's going to be kind of like the standard for this next gen?
I can see them doing that. I just want to point out the one thing of when they're like, oh, the price for these ambitious games. When's the last time Call of Duty did something ambitious?
What they should have said is for these popular games.
Yeah.
The ones we know people are going to buy, no matter if it's good or bad.
Yep. The ambitious title thing, just like that rubs me the wrong way. Of like, like I'm just saying, one, we already know Madden's going to fucking 70. You can't fucking tell me EA with their goddamn pockets out. They basically are like trick or treating all year round, except without fucking candy, it's just money. And they go up to your house, and not even just trick or treat. They basically pull out a gun and like put the goddamn money in the bag. They rob you.
I'm a dum-dum. That was not card in chat. It's CAD. It's the Canadian currency. Because I forgot JD is in Canada. But the one thing that from this that sticks out the most from this article to me, Soapy, is the fact that the quote that they have from Phil Spencer from this month kind of talks about what we've talked about with Xbox and kind of where there's going to be a gap between Xbox and PlayStation, where you kind of heard in Spencer's comments that I read where it's more of like they're thinking about the casual gamer, where it's like, well, you know what? Why the hell would we charge $70 for a game if you're already buying a $500 console? Now, Xbox, you can also look at it as already thinking about this because they came out with the S along with the X, so they're already thinking of that price thing. But like, there's a part of me that wonders whether if Xbox stays at 60 or because of Game Pass, where they can just be like, this Xbox game, it's on Game Pass, we're putting it on there. Could there be like, do you think Sony may be in a, I don't want to say a jeopardy, but like, could this be the gen where Xbox wins? And by say wins, I mean kind of pulls some people over from PlayStation to Xbox, because we're coming right now, these consoles are coming out as we're still in a pandemic. Like the whole like sales of it is interesting because really like you have to do everything online, and from what we've been proven is even the big companies don't have the website technology or the website power to control the demand for these websites when you have no one coming in stores for them, when you've already said on release day we're not going to have any of them in store, just for pickups only in some places. But like also we're in a pandemic to where not a lot of people have the money to just be like, hey, I'm going to throw out all this money for a console. Obviously the hardcore fans do, but I'm talking more about those casuals, to where because Xbox is kind of leaning more towards the casual, could they quote unquote win or be looked at more positively this next gen because of that, Soapy?
I mean, I definitely think they have a chance of it. Obviously, once again, it's, my feelings about Microsoft. I've always been more of a Microsoft fan.
Because obviously, like the Maddens, the FIFAs, like those titles, Xbox can't control. But like everything that's under their studio, the Bethesda titles, the Halo titles, like there might be some people that go, yeah, I might not be able to play Miles Morales because I'm not on PlayStation, but look at all these other fucking games I can play on Xbox. Like, will some people make that gymnastic of like, you know what, I'm going to go this route because of the bigger bang that I may be getting for my buck with Xbox?
Yeah, and especially I think it's one of those things that this is going to basically define what the console's rules are. Of we're going to see that Microsoft stays as the casual gamer.
Yeah.
And then we're going to see
PlayStation be more hardcore.
Yeah. Basically, and then Sony's entering into a battle with that. That's not a good spot to be in. It's called competing with PC directly. There's a whole reason why consoles always been viewed more as as like the little brother of gaming, is because it's one of those things that,
like we talked about last week.
Yeah. It's basically, you're never going to, like, appealing to the hardcore gamer for console-wise, like, if people don't have, like, the money to drop on a PC.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you're going to have a market there. The only thing is, though, once again, you start competing more in that PC realm, and that's where consoles always struggled. If you're like, do you really want to compete with Sony? Like, do you really want to compete with basically Microsoft on another level? You basically step up to like Microsoft or the Xbox like is the little brother. It's basically, you bullied Microsoft for too long, and now the big brother's got to come in.
And I wonder, like, and this is the thing I keep wondering, and we keep bringing up to where I wonder if Xbox because every decision that they've made, everything that they've talked about, it's clear they lean into Game Pass. Like, that's their thing. Hey, we're for gamers' sake. Kind of a thing to where either one of two things is going to happen. One, like you just said, they're going to go to the polar opposites. And it's going to be, I'm at PlayStation, because like for me, I'm at PlayStation because I love their exclusives. Last of Us, fucking Miles Morales, like these games that I can only get for up until this year, MLB The Show, because next year MLB The Show's going to be on everything, including Switch, which I'm intrigued to see how MLB The Show runs on a Switch. I am intrigued about
terribly.
That. Because like...
I'll already say that one ahead of time. That's going to be terrible.
I'm intrigued to see how it runs. I'm not going to say I'd buy it on the Switch, but I'm intrigued. Especially if you're a Diamond Dynastyer, like playing that online on a Switch, like if it works, it's intriguing because then you could play it fucking anywhere. But yet again, how's that going to work? I have I'm very skeptical about that. Or you could even say I'm cynical, where people say hey, it works, and I don't know if it's going to work. But like I was saying, like I love the PlayStation exclusives. That's why I'm at PlayStation. Like for me, the Halos, the Gears, like I don't have the same love for those exclusives like I do for the PlayStation ones. And that's why I'm over at PlayStation. Would I love to have both systems? Yes, I've told PlayStation and Xbox numerous times. You want to send me both of them, go ahead, be your guest. I would love to have them. But if I'm picking one, I'm going to go with the one with the games that I know I love. But I wonder if the first option will happen where they both go their separate ways, or by Xbox leaning so hard into it, will it force PlayStation to be in a kind of situation of like, okay, we lean into ours and go in our separate way, or does it pull them more towards the middle where Sony then thinks, hey, in order to compete with Xbox, we need to take on some of the same things that they are doing, which I think we're already kind of seeing with the PlayStation Now.
See, honestly, I say this right now. They don't need to compete. It's competing with Xbox is hurting them more in the long run.
I'm not saying to compete. I'm saying to like, hey, like, do we kind of move towards the middle a little bit, because the Xbox model is really how gaming should be. And obviously they want to make more money. That's probably the bottom line. But will they be forced to move over in order to kind of make money and not lose money?
Well, see, and personally for me, I view that more of like that they're competing. And I think it's one of those things of, I think it's Sony needs to go their own way and stop focusing on what Microsoft's doing. I've said multiple times, I don't think the console war exists anymore. I think it died a long time ago. It's just a thing that Sony has continued, and Xbox kind of just stopped because Xbox fans, we already know, we already basically lost.
But dude,
and it's mostly because we'll never outsell PlayStation at all.
But dude,
we don't
the
even stand
Sega
a chance.
Genesis does what Nintendo don't, baby.
Yeah, I mean, hey man, dude, we make a pretty good coffee table sometimes.
Because like if we're talking console wars, that was the first one, the very first one. I know that was. I don't want to mean that back in my day, but like a before your time, Soapy. Of like, I still remember those commercials as a kid, where it was the whole big thing of like Nintendo, the 8-bit console, then bam, Sega Genesis comes in. It's like, holy shit, it's 16 bits? You're not getting a whole 8 bits, Soapy. You're getting 16
That's 8 more bits than we had before. I don't know what a fucking bit is.
Hell yeah, baby. Sega Genesis does what Nintendo don't. So like, that's the very first console war. But I do agree with you where it's like, when you say the console war is dead, I just think about myself. I'm stuck in my way. No one's gonna switch it to where I'm getting an Xbox and not a PlayStation. to where it's like, I feel like people on the Xbox side are with Xbox, people on the PlayStation side are with PlayStation, and like, you're not switching them anymore. Like, you're not, like, you might pull a couple over and like the people in the middle might shift and be fluid, but like, you have your bases. You're not going to pull a hardcore PlayStation fan over from your side to the Xbox side. And like JD says, I'm excited to use the new controller too. Everything that I've heard about is fucking awesome, and I can't wait to get one of them in our hands. But Soapy, the next thing that's still staying with the PS5 theme is, according to an advertising spot, this is also VGC, a new PS5 advertising spot confirms the first-party titles, Gran Turismo 7 and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, are being planned to release in the first half of 2021. The TV ad also confirms a release for House Masquerade's Returnal in the first half of 2021, and a release of Gorilla's Horizon Forbidden West in the second half of next year. The advert is the second part of Sony's launch campaign for PS5, which kicked off last week with a spot featuring U.S. rapper Travis Scott. It sets up a strong first year for Sony next-gen console, with a new God of War also expected to release next year, as well as timed console exclusives Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo, and Kenya Bridge of the Spirits. Sony Interactive Entertainment's marketing boss, Eric Lempel, told Game Industry Biz that the latest ad was designed to encourage players to feel that console games have peaked to discover new experiences. Soapy, what are your thoughts on that lineup? If it's first half of the year, we're getting GT7, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and then eventually Horizon Forbidden West in the second half of that year, also with all the other stuff that got littered on. What is your thought on what the first year of the PS5 could be like?
I mean, it's looking like a very good lineup. Mm-hmm. My main question then, and obviously, this is kind of like a more cynical way to look at it.
Yeah.
What's planned for the later half?
Yeah.
Because the whole thing of like, it seems like it's very stacked towards the front.
Mm-hmm.
Of where it's like, obviously, once again, I'm not a super huge PlayStation guy.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of just me speaking more of like on the Xbox side of it. It feels like they're just completely doubling down like on like the first year,
mm-hmm.
which obviously, I don't always want to say COVID's the answer for everything, but is it good to double down that early?
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, that's going to encourage more people to buy quickly, because if they hear like, oh, Ratchet and Clank's not coming out until like the middle of the year, and then God of War maybe like 2022 or something like that,
mm-hmm.
obviously, like, that would make people be like, no, I'm not buying this console now. But like, and obviously there's going to be other games that come out afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just hearing how like stacked their first year is, like, it's cool, but it's also that same worry I kind of have of where it's like, what is after?
The reason why I think we're seeing, and I'm playing on Twitch for you guys, so you guys can see the advert. I'm just going to have that play a couple times while we're talking. The reason why I think PlayStation is going to go so hard into especially 2021 is because of, I feel like everything that we've been hearing from the Xbox side, especially with Halo not being ready for launch, I feel like the business move that Sony's going with is, hey, let's get a launch trailer out there now with everything we're going to have in 2021, because we don't want to wait for these games to come out and then people buy it. We want them to buy it now so that they're excited for these games. Like, for example, those Spider-Man you can play when it launches. Get excited for these games, buy it now, because if they wait, the closer you get to like a Halo, someone might say, well, fuck, I want to play that. Let me go over to Xbox. Like, this is a move to me generated to try to bump sale numbers up now and have a good, strong launch for their console, which you're sitting there going, duh, Ricky, that's what they want to do. You want to have a strong launch. Now, the thing to throw it in there, and Soapy, you mentioned it, it's going to be mentioned, and it's going to be, I'm curious to see with the launch numbers, how it affects the console sales is how is the pandemic and how is COVID going to play a role in this? Because it is going to play a role whether you're trying to get an Xbox, whether you are getting an Xbox, or whether you're on the PlayStation side.
Yeah, and obviously it's one of those things of if it is because of Microsoft, potentially having a really rough launch, does this still not kind of come off like you're trying to compete with a company who doesn't care?
No, they are. They are trying to compete. There's no question.
Yeah, and obviously, we can continue that fucking argument or that conversation forever. But
no, they are trying to compete. Like, we can talk about how we think they shouldn't, but no, they are. They're trying to compete with Xbox. Like you said, the PS, Sony still believes in the console war, even though, like you've said, you think it's over.
Yeah, and how do I want to explain this? It's fine that they're like super stacking up the launch. The only thing is, though, when you get 2 or 3 years into the console, what's coming out that's still enticing people to want to buy your console after said first year? Because, for instance, let's say there's people who are like, those exclusives are fine, but, like, I'm not a fan of God of War. I'm not a fan of Ratchet and Clank. Like, what's making your console what's making me want to buy your console? Like, that's kind of where I think, or at least personally for me, and obviously, once again, I'm kind of on the same side as that. Yeah. Obviously, I want to play fucking God of War because I love God of War.
Yeah.
But, like, for instance, there are people who don't care for, like, games like Ratchet and Clank. There's people who don't care for racing games. Like, that early on lineup is the big names, and obviously, like, there's probably, like, they probably do have games, like, waiting in line. But my worry kind of comes from a place of, okay, you're stacking the deck early, what's in reserve?
Yeah. Well,
basically, and I don't want to use, like, a vulgar phrase, but it's like, don't blow your load instantly.
Don't be a Minuteman, is basically what you're saying. Don't be a two-pump chump. Is that what you're saying, Soaps?
Yeah. Basically just understand that, like, you don't want to sit there and have it that, like, oh, here we go. We have fucking, like, here's all our games that any of you guys care about within the first year. Because then, for people who don't care about those, what purpose do I have to want to buy your console then?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm not really thinking that way because, like, there will be, it's like, I don't think there'll be a year like 2020, like, I don't think 2022 is going to be a year where it's like, oh man, the PS5 didn't have any games. Like, there are games like, for example, we may even see Far Cry, because we talked about that, Far Cry 6 being delayed. Sony and that may say, hey, instead of coming out later this year, we've got enough shit. Hey, push that to first quarter of 2022. Like, you have Far Cry that's been delayed. Let's see.
Okay, I do want to make one correction.
Go ahead.
That's not an exclusive for them. Far Cry's on all consoles.
It's not an exclusive.
I don't think they can't make Ubisoft not, like, they can't have Ubisoft do that.
I mean, Ubisoft may also look at it too, like we talked about, where Ubisoft may be like, oh, we're going to target September. But if Ubisoft looks at it and goes, shit, there's a fucking ton of games coming out from now until Christmas, I wouldn't put it past Ubisoft themselves to go, hey, just push it till the first quarter of 2022. Because like you said, there's like the thing that I think of, and this is on the Xbox and PlayStation side, and I'm going to say it now. When we get to a year from now, Soapy, you know what we're going to be saying about when we talk about the Game Awards? You know what we're going to be saying? 2021 is going to be the best year for games that we've ever seen. Like, we're going to be sitting there going, holy shit, the amount of good games that we've seen this year, this is the best year for games. And it's going to be the first time that I can remember that game of the year category, there's going to be games that it's like, how is this not on the list? And it's not on the list because there's not enough slots.
Yeah, and I'm not denying that. it's more or less though of obviously once again we don't know like confirmed launch dates and everything.
Yeah.
My whole thing is I think Ubisoft's confident enough that the Far Cry name is big enough to outsell smaller games. Like that's my whole thing of I don't think Ubisoft would have basically also Ubisoft doesn't really give a shit if their games do good or not. Like let's be real here.
Good point. Let's look at
Ubisoft kind of stopped giving a shit.
Let's look at the brick shit house in Watchdog Legion. See what I did there?
Yeah, I mean to be fair, like that, it's okay. It's just it had that really fucked up glitch on Xbox.
My question is, do you think Resident Evil 8 Village gets pushed to 2022?
I think we'd have to get closer to when it gets like officially announced for the date.
Because right now it's TBA or TBC 2021. But like that's one too, still in development by Capcom. We've seen some things, but we haven't heard anything as of late. Like I could see that one being like, okay, 2021's pretty packed. Let's go ahead and like what games that are in development now that are aimed for 2021 are going to be basically, are the game companies going to be like, or the developers looking at going, all right, we can have it come out in Q4. Like that's the thing. The ones that are going to come out in Q4 that are in development right now and we don't know anything about, how many of those will the developers and companies go, we can either try to compete now or we can push it to 2022 and have more of a maybe viable chance because of lack of density, I'll say, in the first half or the first quarter of the 2022. Yet again, over a year away, so we can't answer that question now, but I think that's what we have to be looking for.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's a fair thing as well. It's just mostly for me, a lot of like the bigger games that we know are well-established names. Yeah. Like Far Cry, they didn't get 6 games in for nothing.
Yeah.
Technically 7.
Yeah, technically. Because didn't they come out with one that was like a part 2 to 5?
Yeah, it's New Dawn. Far Cry New Dawn, which sucked. I will openly say that. I played it. That was the most lackluster game I've ever played my entire life.
Was Far Cry 5 the one where you can kill a bear or get into a fight with a bear?
I mean, you can get into a fight with bear in basically all of them.
Okay. Because, like, 5 was the one with the cult leader, right?
Yeah, 5 is the one with John Seed.
The, like, American cult leader? Or, like, it was like...
In Montana.
Yeah, I was going to say it was like a backwoods, like, Republican state. Like, that's all I remember from it. Any final thoughts on this, though, before we do move on?
It's mostly just... I'm ready to see how much also them kind of overloading 2021 is going to affect the sales of the other games as well.
Because, hey, thing we didn't bring up yet, it's launch week, baby. What, tomorrow's the Xbox, Thursday's the PlayStation?
Some people already have the next gen.
Some people
are already playing them.
Some people already do, and we didn't do it at the beginning of the show, so I'll do it now. Happy launch week to everyone. And if you get your new console,
launch week, guys.
Make sure to play the hell out of it. And Soapy, the last 2 things, shorty but a goodie. The first one, you know it's Spider-Man, so it's going to make the show. Both of these I have to pull up so the viewers can actually see them, because one of them, you will not believe it if I just tell you about it. So the first one, Soapy, is apparently there are sneakers that you can get. And I'm going to pull up them right here. IGN has the picture. They are Miles Morales. Let me pull that down. Good. Miles Morales sneakers from, I believe it's Nike that's making them. Yeah, let me see. So Miles Morales has his own Spider-Man persona, known for a lot of things, including the shoes he wears. He traditionally has seen wearing Nike Air Jordan 1s, as seen in 2018 Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. But in the upcoming PlayStation game, he'll be wearing a pair of Adidas's instead. Those exact Adidas shoes will be available in real life for purchase starting November 19th, and you can check out what they look like in the slideshow below. So, Soapy, I've got what they look like here. I'm going to slide through some of the pictures slowly. These are shoes, I'll be honest, I am not going to get them only because me and Adidas do not work well. Adidas is a shoe brand that for me, I'm a fat guy, so I have wider feet. I also blame my dad genetically for that because my dad, who is not a fat guy, has wide feet. So to me, Adidas's don't get along with me because they're kind of slimmer shoes. What is your thought, though, on the Spider-Man Miles Morales Adidas's? And if someone bought you these shoes, would you wear them, Soaps?
One, if they bought me shoes, I'd be like, why the actual fuck are you buying these shoes? Two, why are you buying me Spider-Man themed shoes?
These are right up my... It sucks, too, because these are right up my... These are right up my alley because they're the fucking color scheme I love the most on shoes.
If someone bought me these shoes, I'd be very disappointed in them. Really? And not because, I think they look bad, but one, why buy me shoes for a series that I don't care about?
They look like Adidas's. That's the problem. You know what I'm saying? Adidas shoes have that look. You can tell they're Adidas's. That's my only problem with them. You know what shoes I really, really, really wanted, but I was so bummed that I couldn't get them? I'm going to pull them up here on stream. Let's see. Game of Thrones.
I think I know what shoes you're talking about.
Which ones?
All I had to hear was the Game of Thrones part.
These ones. So, you look here, and I'm pulling it up. The House of Targaryen ones. Looks like a fucking badass shoe, right? Look, badass shoe. Yeah. And this is how I know the Adidas's were thin on me, is because these were also with the Adidas's. You know what the bullshit thing with these shoes is? Soapy, these red and gold shoes, would you think that they would be made for both men and women?
Yeah.
No, they were not, because they were House of Lannister shoes, and that basically the shoe design was because of why am I blanking on her name? Fucking the queen. What was her name? Cersei Lannister. They were only female shoes. And my shoe size was one shoe size too high for women's sizes. So my feet were just big enough to where I couldn't get these baller ass shoes. Because I love red. If you guys don't know, red's my favorite color. So yeah, Miles Morales shoes, you can go ahead and get them if you want. And then Soapy, the last thing we're talking about today is if you want to become Metapod, Soapy, you can now do that.
Why the fuck would I want to do that?
There is now, and I'm pulling it up here for people to see, there is now a Metapod costume being sold, and The Verge has you covered. It says, Pokey Shopper is releasing a life-size Metapod in April 2021 that can house a human body, hopefully still living in it. Is it a costume? A sleeping bag? Valore? Truly, who cares? For it calls to me from its soft and gaping maw. The site's Twitter account helpfully shared pictures of the specifications in what I think also doubles as a sort of how to insert body diagram. Rather than explain it in words, let's just have a look together. So, Soapy, if you want to become Metapod, you can now become Metapod with...
I'd rather become Kakuna.
Really? Metapod was a G, man. Metapod was the original.
See, but this is the thing. He just turns into that stupid fucking butterfly. Beedrill's better.
Nope. Butterfree, baby.
Beedrill is better.
Butterfree all day.
Butterfree is a big bitch.
Oh, Dave also said, should he go? Dave do go for the Spider-Man shoes. They do look like bowling shoes, but you could fucking pull them off. JD also says he kind of wants to sleep in the Metapod sleeping bag. I think it's baller as fuck. It looks...
No, dude. Release fucking Kakuna. Butterfree's a little baby bitch, dude.
Hey, maybe if enough people buy this, they'll come out with a Kakuna.
They fucking won't. They won't. They fucking hate Kakuna.
Oh, Metapod's just more famous, man. Look at that.
Well, yeah, because they had fucking... The one time we see fucking Beedrill in the anime, he tried to fucking kill Ash.
I mean, that's what bees do, right?
We see Well, not every bee. It's more like hornets. Hornets are the assholes.
Oh.
Bees are just kind of like, hey man, I just want to make honey in peace.
But see, that's the thing. Beedrill looked more like a hornet than he did a bee.
I mean, he's got a bee in his name, so until they confirm it, he's a bee.
No, I'm just saying, like, the way his body was constructed, it's like usually bees are like fatter. He looked kind of slim in places to where I always, as a kid, was like, oh, he kind of looks like a hornet more than a bee. But yeah, if you want to be Metapod and sleep like Metapod, you can go ahead and now do that. So that's what I wanted to end the show with, is a little Spider-Man shoes, but also a Metapod costume or sleeping bag for sale. Soapy, any final thoughts before we wrap everything up?
I mean, there's just kind of like a super minor thing.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The Borderlands 3 had its new DLCs come out.
Mm-hmm.
Arms Race and the cosmetics.
Oh, Arms Race. Did you try the BR mode?
I can tell you this right now, it's not a BR.
It's not? Okay.
Because it plays like a BR, but it's not actually a BR.
So how is it not a BR then?
It's not online.
Okay. Okay.
But it does the whole thing of like you drop in, and you run around, pick up weapons.
So you're playing against computers then?
You're just running around killing AIs.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. That seems
it's
like
basically
it was
their way of also
advertised.
reintroducing computers. Yeah, because it was.
Okay.
And it's I don't know if you want to put the skins up
Go
that
ahead.
came out. If you look up Borderlands 3 Final Form skins, it should be one of the first things that pops up.
BL3.
Those are the new cosmetics that came out.
Let's see. Under images?
Yeah.
There they are.
If there's one that fucking Flack, the robot, looks like an absolute fucking beefcake, then it's the right one.
Yeah, I've got it. Let me... You can keep talking. I'll put it up there. I got the picture.
But yeah, it's basically the whole theme for these outfits are they were like, oh, these are like alternate reality things of where it's like, for instance, Zane never retired from being a bounty hunter, so he probably just went on to work with Malawan. Amara never stopped being the Tiger of Pengale, so basically that's why they have her whole thing. Mose never leaves the Vladoff army, so she just basically looks the most stereotypical Russian you can get. All she needs is some vodka hanging off.
There we go.
And Flack doesn't. Basically, Flack just kind of becomes a regular robot. He doesn't basically become a hunter. So
say it again, because now that I got the picture up, which costumes are which again? Because there were kind of like I was putting it up as you were talking.
Okay, so the one that looks like a extremely stereotypical Russian is Mose.
Yeah, so on the Mose is on the far left.
Yeah. The one next to her is Flack. Flack looks like an absolute fucking beefcake. That man's built.
Okay.
Yeah. Zane looks like a futuristic boy, and it's mostly because
Zane looks probably dope as fuck though.
Yeah. And then next to him is Amara. That she still technically kept like her whole hero thing she was doing before she became a Vault Hunter.
Okay. So how do you get these final forms then? Because obviously I'm not playing the game.
You buy the season pass. They come with the season pass, or you can buy them individually.
Okay. Okay. I was like, damn, is it something to where it's like in the season pass you gotta like fucking earn them? Or is it like a special tree, or is it just like a skin you can have?
It's just a skin you can have. It completely changes the way your character looks.
Does it change how it plays though?
No.
Oh.
It's just a purely cosmetic thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because, for instance, the only thing that changed with Flax is that he doesn't have his jacket on. That's the only thing that changed.
He just doesn't have a jacket on. That's it. No jacket.
Yeah. Well, because it's basically Flack. That's basically the concept art we got of Flack before the actual game came out.
Okay. So it was one of those things where they're like, hey, we like this design. Hey, let's just use it here. Let's use it in the final form.
Yeah. So that's basically what they did. So, any Borderlands fans out there that are interested, there you go.
That's fucking dope. But that's going to do it for us today on this jam-packed show of MVP Games Live. Remember, JD approved it. Best internet, our best community in the internet.
Best internet.
Discord. It's just the best internet. We're shortening it. First it was best community on the internet. Now it's just the best internet. Join the Discord, link down below on YouTube, or if you're on Twitch, !Discord, get you that link into Twitch chat. If you want to support the channel, make sure to go to patreon.com/MVPvids, but you can also sub to us on Twitch, where we are live every Monday through Friday, twitch.tv/MVPvids, and we're also on YouTube at MVP Entertainment as well. That's going to do it for Soapy and I. We'll be back tomorrow, the release day for Xbox Series S and X. And also, during the show, there's going to be an AEW games announcement. So I'm going to be having that up on my screen. If anything is like uberly, like, holy shit, like this is a mic drop moment, we'll be talking about that on the show if it happens. So we got some things already looking forward to tomorrow. For those of you on Twitch, Dave and I will be coming up next with MVP Sports Live. So stay tuned for that one. And as always, thank you for listening, watching, and as always, I'm going to say it again, have a good day, everybody.
Bye!